Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dragon's Library. So today I am going to be going over the Ahsoka Disney Plus show. Now, I want to make it very clear, I'm trying very hard not to be negative about this show because, believe it or not, Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. She was very enjoyable and one of the cooler parts of Clone Wars. I think she's an actually well-designed character with a really cool arc that they finished off in the Clone Wars Disney Plus series. I think that was all done very well. I even liked most of her cameos, like in The Mandalorian. It was all very nice. So, let's get into the Ahsoka show, and then I will go over my issues with it. And it's the issues I've been starting to have with a lot of Disney Plus stuff. You might have noticed I don't really do a lot of Disney Plus Star Wars things recently. A lot of the more recent things I've just kind of skipped over. Even Andor, I couldn't get enthusiastic about. So, what's this about? Well, for those of you who don't know, Ahsoka is the Jedi Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, back when he was a Jedi Knight in the Clone Wars. Due to complications, she was exiled from the Jedi Order and then offered a chance back, but then she left on her own because she couldn't trust him anymore. Anakin was the only one who stuck up for her when she was believed to be a traitor. Long story, it's in the Clone Wars. Go watch that show, it's actually really, really good. She survived Order 66, which we had known for a while, and she's made cameos in several other Disney-related properties. Most notably, and I say this most notably not because I think this is one of her better appearances, granted she does have like one really, really good episode in it, but because like it's where she has most of her cameos outside of the Clone Wars show. She was one of the founders of the Rebel Alliance, and there was a Disney cartoon called Star Wars Rebels, which I kind of hate. I think the show is very, very poorly made, personally. However, it does have a fairly active fan base. There are a lot of people who actually enjoy it. And you know what? To those people who enjoy it, good for you. I'm glad. However, one of the things you need to know about Ahsoka, the Disney Plus show, is it's not really about Ahsoka so much as it is a continuation of Rebels. And I think that's my main issue with it. So, getting into the main plot. For those of you who don't know, at the end of Rebels, the main character, I guess you could say, of that show, Ezra Bridger, managed to use, this is going to sound really stupid, space whales with animal friendship as a force power, and he got them to take these Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's one of the Empire's like better strategists and generals, and all his ships that were attacking a planet they were trying to defend, and he shoved them off to another galaxy. Ezra got lost too, and Ahsoka came back in the epilogue with Sabine, who's a Mandalorian from the show. Now, the problem with this is basically, they kind of, like, in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka was doing her own thing. However, after the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the, Rebels have won. So Ahsoka is now working for the New Republic government. As sort of like their go-to Jedi person when Luke's busy, I guess. I honestly think it would have been really cool if we had, like, a whole thing with Ahsoka trying to reconnect with the Jedi Order. That's personally what I would have done. Because it's like, oh, hey, look, Ahsoka, plus the son of her teacher, trauma, like, there's so much you could do there, but I guess they weren't willing to do a deep fake Luke for a whole thing, and they weren't willing to make it animated, so they weren't willing to do that. Which, fair, I guess, but I'm kind of frustrated we're probably never going to get that now, because I think that would actually be a really interesting plot. Anyway, long story short, there's a Dathomiri witch who used to work for the Empire. She wants to go retrieve Thrawn using this orb that Ahsoka was going to get that can lead them to a hyperspace path that'll get them to the other galaxy. Meanwhile, Ahsoka is trying to reconnect with Sabine, who's kind of gotten her own issues going on right now. She's angsting over Ezra, wants to go find him, but she can't. But when her and Ahsoka go after the orb, there's this new question of, hey, do we want to go try and find Ezra and also risk bringing Thrawn and his whole, armada back with him and possibly starting a new civil war? So that whole thing is its own deal, and honestly, I just am not there for it. So let's get into this. It's called the Ahsoka show, but it's literally just an extension of Rebels. I'm sorry, like, Ahsoka is, like, definitely one of the main characters, but they're focusing so much on, like, Sabine, and Ezra shows up for the last two episodes, and his, whole thing is a major focus. And the problem I have with this is that the people that go in thinking this is a show about Ahsoka are going to be disappointed by how much focus, I feel, is placed on the Rebels characters, at least if you don't care about those characters. If you are a Rebels fan, and you're like, hey, I'd like to see more of these characters after Return of the Jedi, this actually is probably the show for you. I'm going to admit that. If you like Rebels, maybe you'll like this. The plot is at least trying to pick up those threads. The problem I have is I went in wanting a show about Ahsoka, And while we do get some of her stuff with, you know, dealing with Anakin and his fall and his eventual death, it felt like a Cliff Notes, like a side plot, as opposed to the main plot. The main character almost feels like Sabine for a lot. It's like Ahsoka is like the mentor, and she's definitely one of the two major characters, but we get so much focus on Sabine as like a forceless Jedi apprentice, which is kind of a cool idea. She had the dark saber, so teaching her lightsaber forms and stuff is actually a pretty cool idea. I like that. I'm not upset with that. It's just, this isn't what I signed up for when I decided to watch the Ahsoka show. And it also has the second main problem, which is this has no reasons to be 8 episodes long. I don't think the acting or the writing are that bad. I want to make this very clear. I think the actors are doing a great job with these characters. I actually really like the actor they have for Ahsoka. I actually liked the Rebels characters, which I don't generally like them. I was okay mostly with Sabine as just like a fun one-off character, but like I wasn't a fan of them. I'm like, oh, you know what, they're doing a pretty good job here. These actors are doing a good job. The script's okay. Why do I feel so bored? Because it's so drawn out. They have these like long scenes that aren't there really to establish mood. They're more just to kill time. And it feels like you could probably cut this entire series in half, turn it into a movie, and it would run so much better. And it feels like a lot of stuff nowadays is being turned into these miniseries when they should just be making movies. If you don't have enough plot for 8 episodes, then don't make 8 episodes. And hell, you don't even have to do a movie if you want to cut things down. The first season of Castlevania was a 4-episode run that got the main characters together and set up Dracula's motivation for being a bastard. That is it. That's all they did. And those 4 episodes were really good. The later seasons got longer as they had more plot to discuss, but they had this plot to tell, and they're like, how long should that take? This is how long that should take. And I feel like a lot of series want to be these longer series when they really, really, really don't need to be. And I'm frustrated because I don't want to be negative about this. Because I actually think the person playing Ahsoka, her name is Rosario Dawson, did a really good job with the character. And I think there are some interesting ideas. Quite frankly, the idea that Thrawn, who was like an alien general in the human supremacist empire, working with one of the last Dathomiri witches because they weren't really friendly with other people and they had to be allies with each other, I think that's really cool. I think that idea of Empire remnants still being there and needing to, causing problems for the Republic is something you could set these side characters on. I just feel like this series didn't really deliver on anything I was looking for. The actors were good, the writing was okay, but it was really long drawn out. It focused on things I wasn't really interested in, to be honest. Maybe that's a me thing. Again, if you're a fan of Rebels, might not be a problem for you. And it just kind of felt boring. It didn't feel special. Like, Star Wars should be this event. When something cool Star Wars comes out, we should be like, hell yeah. Like The Mandalorian, when that first season came out, people were ecstatic. This was so good. And then Ahsoka comes out and I feel like, it's whatever. And that's kind of feels horrible. Again, this isn't bad. I'm not saying this is terrible TV. It's not atrocious or anything. Quite frankly, it's mostly just slightly above average, slightly below average, gets about an average together. There are some okay things, there are some not so okay things. What are you gonna do? In conclusion, Ahsoka is an okay streaming show. It's about 8 episodes. If you want to kill some time, if you like the Star Wars Rebels plot, if you can handle more drawn out and slow stuff, sure, it'll be fine. There are lightsabers, there's cool force magic stuff. If you're looking for that, hey, here's more of it. But if you wanted to actually get a show exploring Ahsoka more in depth, or a show that, was better paced, this might not be for you. However, like I said, it's just kind of okay. I'm going to give this like a 7 out of 10. I don't know, it feels really high for some reason, but I can't really say there's anything wrong with it. It just didn't thrill me. So, yeah. Moving on from there, we have the announcements I'm going to be doing with the Golden Sword this week. This review is probably going to come out later because I have to re-record this. It'll probably come out either Thursday evening or Friday. And that means I'm probably going to do the second review on Saturday or Sunday. Sorry if these come out late. I'm going to try and keep my 2 reviews per week schedule going. I really, really want to keep that going. Finally, we have the end card. There's video YouTube recommends, there's the playlist of all the stuff I reviewed this year, and there's the subscribe board. Go to my channel, subscribe, Thank you very much, everybody subscribed. It means a lot to me. See you guys next time.